I lost my job as a delivery driver last spring after a guy ran a red light and turned my van into scrap metal. It wasn't my fault. Insurance took forever, and by the time I got a settlement, it barely covered what I owed on the vehicle, so I picked up whatever I could. Dishwasher shift at a diner, off Route 9 from 6 in the morning till 2. Then I'd drive 15 minutes to a grocery store and stock shelves from 10 at night till 6 the next morning. Sleep happened in the gaps. My daughter Mia is 8. Mom left about 2 years ago, moved to Arizona with somebody she met online and doesn't send a dime, doesn't really call either. So it's just me and Mia in a one-bedroom apartment where she gets the bedroom and I sleep on a pull-out couch that's seen better decades. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because I want you to understand what kind of headspace I was in the day all this happened. I was tired in a way that doesn't go away with sleep. Tired in my bones. Behind on rent by about 3 weeks. The kind of tired where you start doing math in your head at random times. Like standing in the shower going, okay, if I skip lunch 3 days this week, that's $11 toward the electric bill. So that morning, I'm at the diner, elbow deep in a sink of dishes, and I hear laughing coming from the dining area. Not the good kind of laughing. I look through the little window in the kitchen door and there's a table of college kids, maybe 4 of them, and one guy's got his phone up recording an old woman a few tables over. She's got her hands pressed to her face and she's crying, actually crying, shoulders shaking, and I can hear her trying to explain something to the waitress about her order being wrong, except she keeps stopping mid-sentence like she's lost the thread. The kid with the phone says, loud enough for the whole diner to hear, "Bro, this is going straight on my page," and his friends are laughing like it's the funniest thing they've seen all week. I don't know what came over me. I wiped my hands on my apron, walked out of that kitchen and sat down across from her like I'd known her my whole life. "Hey," I said, "you okay?" She looked at me like she didn't understand why a stranger in a dirty apron was talking to her. Up close, she was maybe 75, 78, nicely dressed but a little disheveled, like she'd put her cardigan on in a hurry. "Her name tag from some kind of appointment sticker," said Eleanor. "I ordered the wrong thing," she said, voice shaking. "I keep doing this. I don't know what's wrong with me." "You didn't do anything wrong," I told her. "Let me get this sorted out." I flagged down the waitress, told her whatever Eleanor wanted was on me, and told the kid with the phone to put it away. He didn't. His friends kept snickering. I didn't yell at them. I didn't make a scene. I just sat there with her and talked to her about nothing. The weather. How the coffee here is never as hot as it should be until she stopped shaking. That's when I noticed something that had nothing to do with embarrassment. I asked her if someone was picking her up, and she said she didn't remember where she lived. Not in a confused, thinking about it way. In a blank way. Like the information just wasn't there anymore. "Do you have a phone on you?" I asked. "Anybody I can call?" She dug through her purse for almost a full minute before she found it. And there was a name saved as Vivian Daughter that I ended up calling for her, standing outside the diner because I didn't want her hearing me explain the situation to a stranger. Nobody picked up. I left a voicemail saying her mother was safe, gave the diner's address, and went back inside. I want to be clear, I didn't think about who this woman's daughter might be. I wasn't looking for anything. I just didn't like the idea of an old woman sitting alone in a booth, not knowing how to get home while a bunch of 20-year-olds filmed her like she was a punchline. My manager pulled me into the back about 20 minutes later. His name was Russ. Decent guy most days, but he was already annoyed before I opened my mouth. "You comped a full meal without asking me," he said. "And you made a scene in front of 6 other tables." I didn't make a scene. Those kids did. "Doesn't matter who started it, Daniel. Regulars come here because it's quiet. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Abernathy, they walked out without ordering because of the commotion. That's real money. I should have just apologized and let it go. I needed this job, but something in me, probably 6 months of exhaustion, just came up out of my chest before I could stop it. Maybe the diner should be embarrassed that 4 kids can film an old woman crying and nobody but the dishwasher does anything about it. Russ's face went tight. "You're done for the day. Actually, you're done, period. I'll mail your last check." I stood there in that greasy little back hallway with my apron still on, and it hit me that I'd just lost one of 2 jobs holding up my entire life, over something that felt right in the moment but was going to cost me a lot more than I understood yet. I walked out front to grab my jacket, and there was a guy near the register, not one of the college kids, just some regular customer, who tried to hand me a 20 and say something like that was a good thing you did. I told him no thanks and left. I wasn't in the mood to be anybody's feel-good story. I'd rent due and one job now instead of two. I didn't find out until almost a week later that the kid with the phone had posted the video anyway, and that people online weren't really talking about Eleanor at all. They were talking about the part after, where I walk away from the guy holding out the 20.com, not looking for anything. Somebody had captioned it, "This man just got fired for helping her," and it got picked up by some local news account with maybe 40,000 followers. I didn't know any of this was happening because I wasn't checking my phone. I was filling out applications at 2 other restaurants and a hardware store, trying to plug the hole where my second income used to be. About a week after it happened, Eleanor showed up at the diner on a day I wasn't even working there anymore, asking the new cook if the young man who sat with me still worked there. When she found out I'd been fired, she looked honestly sick about it. She tracked down my number through Russ of all people and called me. "I need to apologize to you," she said. "And I need to tell you something I wasn't honest about." Turns out she wasn't just having a confusing morning. She has early-stage dementia, diagnosed about a year ago, and she's supposed to have someone with her whenever she leaves the house. That day she'd slipped out on her own because, in her words, she didn't want to be babysat like a child for one lousy trip to get pancakes. She felt guilty that her stubbornness had cost me my job. "You didn't cost me anything," I told her. Said what I said. So that's on me. She tried to give me money right there over the phone, said she wanted to cover what I'd lost. I said no. I know how that sounds, considering I was 3 weeks behind on rent at the time, but I didn't want to be somebody's charity case. I wanted my dignity intact on my own terms, even if that meant walking away from money I genuinely needed. She didn't push it. She just said okay, quietly, and that was that. I figured that was the end of the whole thing. 2 weeks later, Mia spiked a fever of 103 at 2 in the morning. No insurance, because I'd lost the job that had it. I sat in the ER waiting room doing math again, except this time it wasn't about lunch. It was about whether I could afford whatever they were about to charge me for a strep test and antibiotics. She was okay. Thank God, just strep. But the bill put me another $600 in a hole I didn't have a shovel for. I sat in my car in the hospital parking lot afterward and cried for about 10 minutes. By myself. Nobody filming that part. Nobody clapping for it. That was the lowest I'd felt in a long time. About 3 weeks after that, a woman knocked on my apartment door. Sharp-looking, tired around the eyes, dressed nice but not flashy. She introduced herself as Vivian Eleanor's daughter. "I'm not here to hand you a check," she said, before I could even get defensive. "I've gone through 4 caregivers this year. 2 were neglectful. 1 flat out lied to me about ours worked. 1 quit without notice. My mother told me you were the only person who's treated her like a person instead of a problem in a long time. I need someone I can trust, part-time, real pay, and she'll vouch for you." I almost said no, pride mostly. I told her I appreciated it, but I didn't want a job out of pity. She looked at me for a second and said, "I grew up in a trailer outside Dayton, Ohio. My mother raised me alone, working 2 jobs, same as you're doing right now. Money didn't erase what I remember about being invisible to people who had more than us. I'm not rescuing you. I'm offering you the same shot somebody once gave her." That's the part that got me, not the job offer. It's the fact that she said it like she meant it, not like a line. I took the job, not as a favor. Real pay, real hours. 3 afternoons a week helping Eleanor with errands and appointments on top of my grocery shift. It's steady. Mia's medical bill got paid off in installments I could actually manage. Not a handout, just breathing room I didn't have before. I still think about that morning in the diner sometimes. The kid with his phone up, Eleanor's hands shaking. I didn't do it because I thought anything would come of it. I did it because nobody else in that room was going to. What happened after still feels less like luck and more like 2 families who understood the exact same kind of tired finally crossing paths. What would you have done in my shoes?